All right, hope you can hear me okay. I see we got two in there, Pebs and Carol. I had another set up there for the live, and I canceled it out and then redid this one. So I hope everyone was able to get over to uh, this live. I think the subject today is going to be. I wanted to go over these gifts a little bit and explain, the different types that are out there, especially for people that are creators, and what is normally expected when you set up your accounts to receive those financial rewards for the things that you do on here as a creator. So a lot of times there's misunderstandings out there of what they are, and a lot of the channels, they're there strictly. Uh, it is a way or a means for them to make a living, just like anybody else that might have an 8 to 5 job. As it is, trying to set up a channel and to do it professionally is not easy. And it's quite frankly, it can get expensive for those that are getting started, and it takes an awful long time. And the restrictions of monetizing a channel, you have to have so many subs and so many hours of people looking at it. So you have an investment as a creator before you can monetize. And obviously, the reason that YouTube wants to do it that way is because they're in the business to make money too. And for everybody out there that is a creator and is monetized, you know how much it is to you're sharing a good amount of your business. And if you had a business of your any other type other than going on YouTube, your expenses probably wouldn't be quite as great because you still have all the bookkeeping end that you have to take care of if you're monetized. Then that includes all the taxes, whether federal, state. Some of them even are municipal taxes that some of them have to pay. It is a long list, and Uncle Sam goes after every bit of it once you're on their docket. I've been visited different times by Uncle Sam, and I I learned my lesson a long time ago. I have somebody else figure my taxes, no matter how simple they might be. It pays in the long run. So it looks like I'm starting to fill up. I've got Pebs, Robin, Miyagi, Road King. Uh, I didn't. Did I? Hopefully, I didn't miss Carol there. Strat Lover, Colin, Thomason. Let's see who else is on there. Noreen. Uh, don't want to forget Miyagi on there. Miyagi, I appreciate your following my channel. I was on yours. I've been going over a lot of the songs on there, and also the statements made by David, which is going to be part of my subject today. And I'm not talking about Super Dave, by the way. I'm talking about the benefactor out there. And instead of using his name, I'll probably say benefactor. I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings out there. So, Ernie, how you doing? Uh, let's see what we got here. Courtney, Sally, Wendy. All right. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and get into my subject, and I'm going to let my mods go ahead and keep the chat going out there. And the big thing is that I don't mind if somebody has a negative opinion as long as it's not a hate opinion. I've been hit in the last, especially this last week. One of the things that was on my channel was a woman come on there and said I was vile and evil, and I went over some things, and I went ahead and took her off almost immediately. But there were multiple followers that came in pretty quickly after she did, and I've been getting them, like a handful at a time. I just go ahead and get rid of them off my channel when they do that. Some of them, if it's actually where I can talk with them on here, where we can have a conversation, and I do that if it's a conversation. And I realize that there's a lot of people out there that don't agree with me at all, and that's fine. We can all have an opinion. The idea is that we don't get hateful with it, and particularly, I don't care for some of the names out there. I don't want to use, uh, you know, if you're going to call me demonic names, I just appreciate you don't even come on my channel because that's not going to be accepted. And if you see sub or mods on there, if somebody comes on there and starts using language anywhere near that, I want you to just remove them because I just don't have room for that. But other than that, depending on what their opinion is, as long as we don't get into a great big egg throwing contest here, I'll try to get off from what I'm doing and go into the chat and see what's up. Okay. So I do appreciate everybody coming in and listening. And, there's not a whole lot in here right now, but maybe as time goes on, more and more will join in. And mods, by the way, you may have an opinion that may not agree with mine, and that's fine. You're more than welcome to say a few words as well. Like I say, I just don't want a lot of hate going on. Today, and one of the reasons I wanted to go over the benefactor, and it's been the elephant in the room on a lot of the channels right now. A lot of them are afraid to discuss it. And the only reason I don't mind discussing this particular subject is I've never put anything about wanting money on here or gifts. And I would rather, if there's something coming, if you want me to say, hey, where to send something to, I'm more than willing to tell you a channel that has a GoFundMe or something like that for them, or raising something for whether it's like with John and Michelle out there and Harley. Right now, that's been my big thing is I felt they were being bullied, and I wanted to make sure that somebody could talk for them. In other words, balance the scales of justice, not only in the court of law, but I've never believed in vigilantism, and it looked bad as far as I'm concerned. And right now, when I'm looking out there and I see the wagons that are circled around John and Michelle, not as they're circled not as protection, they're circled there to protect, to attack. And the wagons I'm talking about are other channels, and we all know who they are, and they all kind of lapse over onto some of us in one way or the other, if you're agreeing on some of the things that I've spoken on here before. This last week, it has gotten worse than the whole time I've been on YouTube. So anyway, the gifts from a benefactor. When they first come on, and I'm looking at this as an outsider because by not accepting them, I'm on a different plane than people that have to have that gift to exist. I don't need it, don't want it, and so my view will not be a view that they would look at. Okay, and it's nothing against them, by the way. Okay, yeah, subscribers, that's fine. This particular moderator came on, and the gifts that were first or initially given out, it seems like there was people that, as you know, when you're members, extra member, not just subscribe to a channel, but members receiving extra videos or extra information and things like that. It's always been into a higher plane on a creator's channel. This channel doesn't have that. Everybody that comes on here is on an equal plane. It has not changed at all. And it's hard to explain, but the reason they have, let's say, another level is it helps extra income so that they can maintain a level of, uh, keeping equipment up, their time that's invested in doing something on here. They can give you a little more quality sometimes. That's why there's a membership that's up here that costs you a little more. You're getting more than the person that just comes in and hits the subscribe. I don't have all those toys to play with to make this better. I, as you know, when I come on here, it's raw. It's just me. There's no music playing in the background. The music that you see on my channel, I'm singing a song, and somebody else gets the monetary credit for that, not me. Even though you'll see it, and you'll see my songs in a lot of different places on the internet, and sometimes you'll see a bunch of them together. But that's because there's people who own the rights to those songs, either the music or the words, or else an outfit that has bought that right for whatever it is. And that's the deal. Everything on there that you see on my channel is signed off by somebody that actually owns those rights. Now, the other thing is YouTube. All you creators understand, YouTube, no matter whether you're making money off them or not, YouTube is going to put videos or the sponsors up here, and they get 100% of that. Okay, I get zero, nothing. Okay. And that's why I can make not decisions, but opinions about benefactors. Okay, so we have a benefactor that came on, and initially it looked like this benefactor was anti uh, Jeremy. You know who I'm talking about, right? Jeremy. Okay. And if you don't, somebody in here will tell you who Jeremy is. And so when you looked out there, there's several of them that were getting gifts. And the first gift that went out there, as far as I know, was to take people that are coming in here in the chat, and they were gifted a membership into the higher echelon of that channel. And very few people really do it to the extent that this guy did, 50 and 100 at a time. That is a block of money, depending on how much each creator is charging for that. Now, some of them get a pretty good buck for that top part. It's not cheap. And for people, let's say my age or people on Social Security or fixed income, they can't afford to pay for those extra memberships. Because like me, most of them may be watching, let's say, a dozen different channels. As it is, I watch, I think, around 30 or 35 channels, and most of them are either mechanical or musical channels that I'm on. And so for me to, let's say that I get on somebody's channel and I take that membership. Well, then sometimes the other ones look at it and say, well, you paid there. Why can't, why is that one so special compared to the other 30 some? And it can sometimes set up a bad vibe, especially among the channels that have music on them. People that put their songs out there, some of them can be very thin-skinned, and it doesn't take much for one of them to get upset. Some of them that I've followed for a lot of years, ever since matter of fact, between arguing about the TV antennas and posting songs, that was the reason a long time ago I got into it, and then traveling and stuff like that. So completely different subject than we have today. Well, when this benefactor came on and started giving gifts out to the people in the channel, first thing he was doing was he was buying you as a sub. And he had good reason for doing that because, he wanted your adulation to a certain point. Let's put it that way. And in most instances, it wasn't too bad, but on others, it's a bunch of change. Well, then the creator, he gets a a bundle of that. And I think around a third of it goes to YouTube. So it's not as big a bundle as what you think when it initially goes on there. And so a creator loves it. Somebody comes in there and gives 50 or 100 or that one night on Super Dave's, the benefactor, I, I would say it was closer to 250 one night when I was on there. And matter of fact, I even received a 30-day gift to into Super Dave's membership. And that was great. I mean, it's appreciated. Now, I also seen that part of these gifts, all of a sudden, there was a string or something that was added to it, and on all of a sudden, and Lisa is the biggest, uh, not a, well, maybe even the biggest benefactor. I don't know what all gifts were given, but all of a sudden, this guy turned on two leaves in a pod, and I completely trust Lisa with what she's doing. And I've never even thought about asking for proof of anything. Yeah, I wouldn't have backed her or give anything if I'd have thought ill in any way. Okay, I would have said no. I wouldn't have absolutely been along with it at all. I just don't do that. I still feel that way. Lisa is one of the most honest people I've seen on there, and she was given with her heart. Okay, so if you want to start a ripple, what would you do? You would go after this one to cause a dissension. I mean, you getting it to wobble a little bit, but at the same time, you go over to the other stations and you increase your gifts. So whether you get on Super Dave and Guapo is one of the channels that gets money from this benefactor. All of a sudden, he starts asking you to do things, and right away, because of the comments he's putting in your channel, who he's after, because he starts making comments against it. Now, Miyagi, you're in my channel, right? I mean, I'm looking right at you here. As a matter of fact, he put up there, "We love Ray Bone Crusher." If you go to his channel, okay, and you look on there, he has listed the different things that this benefactor, his name is David, has said on the different channels. And if you look at them in the full amount, go over there and look at all of them, not just one, and you see how that concept is working to separate Lisa's channel from everybody else. Now, obviously, Lisa likes the other channels on there that are with her, and I'm talking about whether it's mine or Get Swamped. This guy appeared. He was on to Get Swamped and made some things too. So just to let you know, Chapo's channel, Super Dave, and mine. Okay. Now, this David, the benefactor, he can't. There's nothing he can do on mine. Okay, because gift isn't part of this. None of it. It's just opinions, my opinion. And I'm on here to stop a bully. The bully happens to be Jeremy. My affiliation with anybody else is nothing more than opinions. I look at the facts. Lisa's channel, the reason I hung on it so tight is that she brings the paperwork, the documentation. It's real, not pretend. A long time ago, not a long year ago, I looked into the background of one of the channels. And what I seen from 2014 to the present day was a progressive part of a building of a reputation and of flaws. And flaws are only my opinion because to me, it looks like a flaw because morals is what my judgment was on. Some people are very good in business. And I'm going to give you an example. And please don't hang me for it. Mr. Trump has this which is considered somewhat of a Class A personality. But in business, you could very well say that he would challenge anybody to say that he's not a narcissist. He has those tendencies. Most people that are big business are that way, very decisive. Chop the head off. There, it is, but there's times where it's needed. A lot of people have said, "Well, Ray, you're Republican or Democrat or whatever it is. You know, you're wrong. You're doing this wrong." I look at the person, the job that they're doing, and I try in the world of money, the person that may have this cold heart more than likely is going to be better with money. And here's where the gifts come in. Okay, when ran and he was a president for 4 years, my financial income was almost unbelievable during that period of time. Okay, man, I'll tell you what, it just it was going. And his first couple of weeks right now has brought my income, just him being in there, it started bringing that up again. I'm looking at rewards through investments. It's like a gift. And do I accept it? Of course. There is no ties to those gifts that I'm getting from that. They're investments that I made based on the person in charge. If I can read that person, it's like playing poker. I know where to throw it one way or the other. Now, if they go down, I go down. Takes my money with me because I'm backing the wrong horse. Do you understand where I'm trying to come from? Big business plays with big dollars. Follow big business, you'll make some dollars. You may not ever make the money they do. They have more information than you do. It's not necessarily inside, but it's instinct. Okay, close to it. Those are, to me, that's a financial gift in one way or the other. And I play the game on a different way than most people out there do. On this little thing, this isn't my job going out here talking on YouTube. It's nothing more than just a speech. And I'm giving you opinion, and some of it is experience I've had over the years. Your experience may be different than mine in the future because I don't know what the future holds. No idea at all. I know that my future is not very long, only because of where I'm at. And since I don't need a whole lot more for the future because you can't take it with you. And I couldn't dream of doing that anyway. And my kids can have it. But oh heck. I hate to think about leaving the earth like I am because when I was born into it, it was a different place. And it was a more giving and forgiving place than it is today. When you look at half the people are mad at the other half over little things. And here we are. We have these channels that are trying to help out John and Michelle and little Harley, right? And they're good people in those channels. Okay. And we've got two people out there. One is Jeremy. He doesn't like these people. They don't get along. It's a neighbor dispute, and it's been made into this federal case in court. I never thought it would go that far, but it did. The problem is you have somebody who wants to take away what little somebody else has. You know what happened to me last week? As soon as he announced he was going to sue me, okay? You see that truck behind me? One of the first things on my channel was, don't get attached to that truck. You don't have it much longer. That was one of the people that come right from his channel, right to mine. I didn't even know that he had said anything in his channel. I went back and I looked at it and I started laughing. If people that know me know that I could care less about that pickup truck back there. I've had it for over 5 years, I think it is, or something like that. Last year, I put 3,000 miles on it. I've got an electric bike over there that I'm better off using it. Okay. So trying to take away something that from me is not a big deal. I don't put a lot of store in those types of things. They're just things, that's all. And he can't take away the most important thing to me. And guess what that is? Integrity. I've got integrity, whether anybody believes it or not. They don't have to. It's something that I've earned over the years. My neighbors will tell you that I've got integrity here. I don't disrupt things. If anything, I'm more than a willing hand to help out. So you see, he can't take that away from me. Things like that, they're replaceable. What's he going to do? Follow me into my grave and take away what little dirt's covering me up? Good luck with that. I'm not there any longer. I'll be up there with the Lord. So, and that is funny. That is funny. I look forward to eternity in a place like that. And I feel bad about leaving this one because of the shape that it's in. Now, the channels that accept these gifts and the strings that are with it sometimes have forgotten maybe the base that got them there. And sometimes things are said that upset you. Guapo upset me because of using some of the words he used about elderly. But he's got a big heart. He's a businessman. And I know that young people will say or do things that they're certainly going to be forgiven with over the years. And if I'm not allowed on that channel, that's fine. I won't bother. But as long as I don't say anything negative, I don't think he cares whether I was there one way or the other. And the rules were set. I can't talk about the benefactor, so I won't on his channel. It won't stop me from talking about the benefactor here. And most of you, like, well, Ed, you're on the other channels, and you don't have any problem coming in here. I hope you understand what it is for someone to have an opinion. And age makes a difference in how you use that opinion or what your opinion is going to be. I don't blame anybody for being young. the, the inexperienced are more forgiven than somebody my age. When you get to my age, there's less forgiveness because you're supposed to know better, and I understand that too. So a lot of times I end up having to offer an apology to different people out there because if I that's the only thing I can offer at that point. I've already burned all the rest of the bridges, right? So all right, now is there anybody there that doesn't understand how I feel about gifts with strings? I don't want to be behooving to anybody because they gave me something. It physical gifts, they're just sad. Monetary gifts are just sad. The other day I put on there, if somebody walked up and gave some flowers to somebody in your crowd, you would all pat them on the back and say, "Boy, that was really thoughtful." But if this guy come up and offered that same person the $25 in cash and walked away, you would be looking at him as, "Why didn't he give you $25?" Just cash has a different taste to it. And people look at it different because they're looking at cash. What can I do with that $25? What if it was 2,500? That would get you thinking, because if there's somebody offered 2,500 to that person instead of flowers, you might be a little upset because what did they do to deserve it? And now, you're looking at the guy don't like me. Anyway, he might walk back to that person and say, "All right, I don't want you talking with anybody there." He gave him $2,500, right? "I want you to follow me." And he's very decisive about it. And so you do, like a little puppet, because the puppet master just bought you. That's what happens with cash. Flowers, more than likely, if the same person said it with flowers, because this is a gift of love, money is not. Flowers are physical, okay? And if that same person said, "You can't talk to these people anymore, come with me," more than likely the flowers would be back in that person's face. So now we're looking at a different way of accepting the gift. You look at it from the standpoint, don't look a gift horse in the mouth. The other one is the person with the gold makes the rules. Two different aspects, saying accept the gift, another one saying the other one can take what he wants once he buys it. That happens a lot, and I've seen it happen here. Okay. We have channels, they're trying to do good. And I'm going to tell you, but I want you to look at, and let's go on Guapo's channel. He has give a tremendous amount of what he has away. No questions asked. If you remember earlier in the year, all the gifts he gave for school children, all that comes out of his pocket. Everything. He had to buy that, bid on it at an auction, and then he went down and used his time to give it away. Not only that, he went on there and asked for more. So would you say that's a big heart? I'd say so. He gave it with no strings. The benefactor now tapped him on the shoulder and said, give all you want. I'm going to pay for it. All of a sudden, it's a little different deal. It's hard to turn down hard cash deals. I don't know if I was in those positions whether I could honestly say that I would walk away from it. I can tell you this, and this goes back a lot of years, and this is in the corporate world. One of the big shots in the company, and he was fairly new in the company. I didn't know him from Adam hardly. The first time I met him, he came to the project I was on. And at that time, I was on my way up. I was matter of fact, I'd been the project manager on the site for a few months. And he asked my allegiance in the company because I was slated to go into the corporate office, promotional wise. And the job was construction manager of all the jobs here in the United States, the corporate construction manager and production manager as well. And I told the guy, I said, well, that whoever is signing my check in the company probably is going to have my allegiance. The company itself is who I'm loyal to. They hired me, and you're asking me to be my allegiance be yours. What I'm trying to tell you is you're an equal partner in the company, then obviously I'll be aligned with you. But if you're asking me to back you only without backing the company, I don't know if I could do that. I was trying to be honest with this guy. And part of it was the company, the chairman of the board was a good friend of mine. The president and CEO were good friends of mine. And this is in the umbrella. Remember, there's a lot of companies underneath this umbrella. And that someday I wanted to be into that umbrella. That was my goal. I was offered a lifetime job with that company by the chairman of the board. As long as I wanted to work for him, I had a job. And his word was good. Okay. Well, eventually I went into the company. Now, the job that I had been proposed for was filled almost immediately by the guy that came out and asked for my allegiance. There was more than one person looking for that job. This other one came from somewhere else, just like this VP did. He came from somewhere else. When I got there and I could see the lineup in there, and it was a good company. They paid well. They treated people well. And within, I'd say 3 months, I was promoted. What I did is I worked in research and development when I first went in there. And then I was the manager of it. And then I took over engineering and production. And then I took over everything in the field as far as hiring the engineers or laborers. But it was a progression. Well, along the way, just before I got to be a vice president of operations, I didn't realize it, but this vice president had been a plant. He was there. He was an agent for the FBI. He was not an FBI detective. He was working for them, and he was a mole within our company. Our company was a foreign company with a DBA in the U.S. and multiple states, a lot of states. They also had companies in Mexico, in the Caribbean, Japan. We were dealing with China at the time, Germany. Spain. There was just it was very diversified. A lot of buying and selling of other companies. Well, it was only by luck that there was no warrants on me because I had never done anything in that company that could be considered against the law. And everything that could have been that I was asked to do at different times, I had turned it down. What I didn't realize is this mole had done things that entrapped most of the officers within our group, to include some in the umbrella. By the time it all came down and went to court, I was already out into another one of our subsidiaries as a VP and also in the umbrella as a VP. I skated through that because of my honesty and because I didn't fall into a trap, only by accident. Okay. I always had something to fall back on, whether it be financially, in the bank. When everything come to an end back then, the stock market was falling down. It was back in 1987. I made the decision to leave the corporate world, and that's when I strapped my tools back on. Changed my life. I was in my 40s. I never looked back. I was lucky I escaped something only because of how I felt as a basic, honest person. And this agent figured that he was not going to be able to get me or entrap me in any way. I lucked out. The good Lord must have saved me. It's the only thing I know of. At another time, if I would have really needed everything depended on that job or money, I don't know what decision I would have made. But it's a hard one. And you guys out there, I want you to put yourself in those shoes and think about it. Could you do that? Would you do it? I lost a lot of sleep over the years of thinking about that. And some of my friends that were involved, the advice I'd give them at the time was, watch yourself. That I felt bad when this boom come down on them. I was sitting in the office the day that the agents come in and issued the warrants. By then, I had a window office, which when you have a window office, you're in the very top of the management within those systems. I'm just telling you, go from the dark into the front, right up front. My office was right next to the front door. On the other side was the president of the company. On the other side of the door, past the receptionist. I didn't know what was going on, and they kind of kept me in the dark at that initial time. And I already had my promotion in my hand. I was getting ready sometime the next month or so to do this startup on a brand new company. And I did get the other company up and off the ground, by the way. The people I left behind, one of them, actually the guy that took over as president, had actually worked for me at one time or another years before that, when him and I both worked for his dad. So my ties were pretty tight in that company. To this day, I feel for them because they had succumbed to money. And money was the object of the whole thing. But it's like leaving, when you have a mole in your company, like what was there, and it's like leaving the keys in your car, and then it's a theft of opportunity when somebody comes by and they see the keys in your car, and maybe they've never stole a car before, but they take it because they've seen the keys and they're gone. And you made that thief when you do that. As far as I'm concerned, you made that thief. They made a wrong decision, but you put the bait out there for them. So who's at fault? You for putting the bait, or you that fell into the trap? It's very hard not to fall into a monetary trap. I'm just telling you. The monetary trap at that time were big contracts, multi-million-dollar contracts. When you work with nuclear facilities, those are huge. I used to go up and pick checks up when I was on the job site for $900,000 to $1.1 million. to send back for payroll. That was just for one job. And we had jobs all over the country. And actually, some of them all over the world. We owned half of a country in Spain. We're talking huge dollars. The materials that I had come up with in the lab was sold all over the world. To this day, is still out there, that were patented under my name, but the patents are signed away to the company I work for. I never owned those patents. That my name is on them, but I've never owned them because I work for them, and I was only able to do it because of knowledge that they had available, and that was for me to work with it and come up with products. All right, that's all I've got on me to let you know where I'm at, and hopefully I can dispel some of those people that think I'm evil. I'm not, and I'm not monitored, or this is. I don't make anything off this station, okay, or this channel. I don't want you to think that I'm out there to try to screw somebody over. I'm not. I have nothing to do with that. Do I like Jeremy? Absolutely not. I don't like the way he does things. He does it differently than I do. And I just give you this story that changed my life. There's a lot of stories I run across over the years where, I'm not the greatest Christian in the world. I've sworn, who knows all. But I try to be. I do the best I can. People make mistakes. They do. I was lucky not to fall into one of them traps along the line. I have no felony convictions. I was never charged by the government for being involved in some of these contract negotiations. As far as inside contract deals where there's an exchange of money before a contract are illegal in the United States. And that is one of the things that I believe these people were probably involved in to a certain extent. Not to the fullest. They were sucked in there. And the monetary amounts were minimal. When I left the company, and no, by the way, none of them officers went to jail. They were convicted of minor infractions of contract negotiations. They all really lucked out because, in a way, even though they weren't innocent, they were participants in something they wouldn't have got involved in without a mole coming into the company, and entrapment was involved in it. If I laid it, completely out, who knows what would happen. I don't want them climbing down my throat. I dealt with government contracts back then. Matter of fact, I had contracts with the TVA system, and I can just tell you, if when it starts raining, it pours on you. You can't, if you get in trouble with the government, it is almost never ending until you're either completely out or whatever it is. It's very, you can't run away from it. You can't get away from it. It's there. So, all right. Anyway, I learned a lesson back then, and I'm never get involved in anything like that. Now I'm old enough that I would see it coming anyway. Back then, I didn't necessarily see it. It was only because I operated as much as I could within my own morality. I don't expect everybody to do the same thing. And I'm not out there to investigate any of you either. My skin in the game is trying to help, honestly, it's trying to help Michelle and John so that they can raise Harley. That's it. I want them to have a good home life. When I looked at it, and it doesn't matter what my initial thoughts were of any of them, to me, a family deserves a chance. That family deserves a chance. And I think they'll do well. And the more of us that get in there and become a buffer for them, maybe we can stop that wagon train from collapsing on them. When I look out there, I see like a center piece of instructions going out, and then a whole bunch of channels keep passing the same thing around and around and around. And some of it is 3 or 4 months old, and it's on about the third round. And it looks like brand new, but it's only brand new to new people coming to in there that happen to see it. And then each time it's said, you get a round of hate coming into your channel if you're trying to stop people or if you're a buffer for John and Michelle and little Harley. This last week, it's been a SOB. I'm just telling you, I have removed more people in the last, let's say, 2 weeks from my channel than I have since I've had this channel for 10 years. And I have the list. I've got the list. I'm not going to post them on here. And most of them I'll not let back on. Anybody that comes on my channel and calls me evil or demonic, they're not welcome here in any sense of the word. I don't want them. And I won't go to a channel that holds these people up and say what they would come back and they love to go back and say, yeah, I was on his channel. Well, most of them, if they were listening. They weren't making remarks because as soon as they get hateful, they're gone. I won't put up with it. All right, now I'm done. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at my channel here, and I'll try to not be too much of a jerk. I'm going to try to see about if I can make the chat bigger for me. Let's do it here. Let me work with this a little bit. Okay. All right. Well, I blew this thing up nice. Now I can read it. Okay. All right, everybody out there, I'm going to try to get in here. First of all, I'm going to see who all is in here. Swanee Angel, Marla Hughes, Road King, Pebs, Bearded Fisherman, Ed Warrior, Kevin Jays, Darwin Goodson. Okay, let's go back over here. Marla says something about came back undeliverable. Let's see what we got here. Shockett and Hales are going down. Thank you, Ed. I hope so. Marla said, hey, Swanee. And Kevin said, Marla, all those groupies were beside themselves wondering. It was awesome. Darwin Goodson, Marla, I need to defo you. Will I will make something. I'll tell you something, Darwin. I like those when you put them up there. You're good at it. And the other day when I put one up, it wasn't a depot, but it sure got some attention for a while. Let's see here. Oh, for some reason this came to a halt. Let's get some more up there. All right. I got the email a day later. That was to Ernie from Marla. Let's see. For some reason, I got stuff coming up here hiding. There we go. I noticed the fake What the Hell's groupies were constantly trying to bait Marla. Kudos for not playing their weird games. Tricia, how are you doing? Thank you for the hello. The servers would like to try for X amount of time before it times out and sends you undeliverable. Carol said, hello, let's go. Susan says, hello, Ray, you're a real winner. I hope so. Looks like I've got a battle ahead of me. Marla, Ernie, it came back over 24 hours later. Mike says, your words are wisdom. Marla said, I know it was the right email. I checked it. Uh-oh, I wonder what happened there. Miyagi, I see what it says there. Okay, no problem. Bud Light, the fake group is lined with haters. Rumor has it it's DJ Rat posting. Hey, just to let you know, I happened to look at Veteran Nation, I think it was today, and it sounds like they're having some kind of a little go round over there between the three of them, Rat and Trooper over there, and Veg Nation. I'm not sure what their whole deal is, but it sounds like they're in a got uh, they're upset over something that has to do with a guy named Uncle Frank, a veteran that passed away here recently. So Monica Leo says here, speaking as someone who watched Jeremy's videos and subscribed to his channel, I did believe him until I truly paid attention to his behavior and his words. With that, I could not watch him any longer. I can understand that, Monica. That's kind of where I had seen a lot, and but my turning was when people in different chats told me to look in the background, and when I did, uh, what I seen from Jeremy's side was progressive into a attack situation. And when I looked up the different things, especially the verbiage he was using, it all pointed to, and I'm not a psychiatrist or anything, but it pointed to some problems. And it may be that he has some issues that need to be taken care of. My understanding is the problem I'm looking at, if it's true, people like us cannot fix it, and there's nothing we can do with it. All we can do is walk away from it. That was almost 100% consensus on that particular problem. And the only reason I'm not saying more about it is because I'm not a psychiatrist. I can't come on here and talk like as if I am. Road King said he stopped watching before the Maryland Raby debacle. Well, I'll tell you, that was something, following through on that. And then that one relative of hers where he accused him of trying to run him over. And I watched that movie or that video, and I took it step by step and backed it off to see what was going on there. And you can see where he stuck his leg right into the bumper. So it was not a good thing. All I got to say is if you see the video, take it one frame at a time. If you can slow it down, I don't know if what your capabilities are on your computer, but slow it down as that woman's backing up, and you're going to see it is a little different than what you thought. Miyagi, some fighting rat, big, and pro pooper. Okay. Let's go, Buckeyes. Let the poor guy rest, Uncle Frank. My understanding is he was a veteran and he passed away, and I don't know why they're fighting over it. Some say he was, that he wasn't real. The others say he was. I don't have any skin in that at all, and I'm not sure if there was enough there to even fight over it. It looked to me like looking for an excuse. But I've never heard anything disparaging about Uncle Frank from our part, and anybody in here, as far as I know. Okay. So, like I say, I don't have anything to say one way or the other. I just know that the three of them are fighting with each other. Yeah, Bodicia, I see that. Shotgun has realized playing the game the way Jerm wants to play it might not end well, especially with those depots that are demanding for future lawsuits. Like, that's ethical. Most of that is for content to get more views. Part of that, when those were coming up, sent a lot of people to my channel. And although I've only had two direct things, or actually maybe three, from Jeremy himself, most of it was from his followers when he would say something, and then I would be included as part of the bunch rather than an individual. Oh, Joy says, raise wisdom. You can learn so much by just listening. Keep doing what you're doing, Ray. Well, thanks, Joy. Mahagi says there's more to Frank's story. Yeah, like I say, I don't know anything about it. I just know that it caused a ruckus over there on Vague Nation. Ed says, I don't even know Uncle Frank even is. I don't either. I, my understanding is he's a veteran, and he passed away. And his there was a GoFundMe to help out with some things with him. I think I don't know if it's a memorial or what it is. It's not. You're not talking about big dollars or anything like that. I think they raised some money for a trailer at some time for him, but I think it was all on the up and up. I honestly don't think that anybody's trying to screw anybody. But Road King says you can leave, Sasha. I'm not sure what that was over, but the rat thinks TC is afraid of. Hey, listen, I listened to that video. Now he's really a big, brave thing. He says, "Oh, I carry something," and then you find out it sounds more like he's got one of those little electric jobs, you jab somebody with. I also seen seen TC's channel when he had walked up to the Radis, and he, he was like a little puppy to get out of there. He couldn't wait to get to his car and get out of there when uh, Thomas was distracted when somebody yelled at Thomas something. Thomas turned and Radis was out of there. Now all of a sudden, he's a big brave guy because Thomas didn't show up, right? Oh, oh boy. Maggie says, not on the up and up, right? Uh-oh. Pep says it always boils down to money. I wish it didn't, but money can do plenty of things. It just does. And it's hard for, when I have an unmonetized channel. It is hard for me to be on the fence when I'm talking about money and the taking of it, or whether you should or shouldn't. There are people here, they depend on this as a livelihood, and so I can't answer for them at all. Is there anything they do though? To Maggie from Snivels. Ed Warrior, I only removed Sarah shares message. I didn't time her out or hide her. Oh, okay. Must be that she didn't like what something I was saying or something somebody else was saying. Hello, Ray. You are 100% correct. Just checked JH's history. Believe me, I did. I took it all the way back to 2014, and I took it to more states in Ohio and Florida. You might even try. Well, I'm not going to say, but there's some other stuff out there. Yeah, Road King says TC isn't afraid of the rat. No, not even in the at least little bit. I noticed rat showed up on crutches, so he must have tripped when he was running away from something. Oh, let's see. Yeah, Dan, I agree with you. Rat has finally got hit with ugly stick, broke on his face. Yeah, I agree. Lauren says, Ray, you're full of wisdom and tenacity. When I was younger, I had a lot more tenacity going for me. As you get older, you get mild. Steph says, have a great rest of the day, Ray. Thank you, Steph. Miyagi says, TC is a sweetheart. One of the things they said that TC hasn't been on here lately, and since his dad is out and around, and TC's been busy, by the way. If you look at, he's been going back and forth hauling metals to the junkyard. And when you think of how long it takes to load trailers and unload them and drive it back and forth, and excuse me, he's got his hands full, and he got to spend some time with his father, and you got to pat him on the back. It's been 20 years, and Thomas, I think, is a pretty good example of a person that's trying so hard. I know that I'm not going to say anything bad about Thomas in any way. I actually I like the guy, and I wouldn't have any problem having him as a neighbor. I'd much rather, absolutely rather have him as a neighbor than live next to Jeremy. Number one is I know that if I was to walk over and talk to Thomas, I think he would help me out no matter what I was doing. The other thing is, I wouldn't have to be on camera all the time. Oh, by the way, I put something up there today asking the people in Otter Creek kind of how they felt about things, and there was one remark about some of them are scared of they don't want to step out and get in trouble. I've heard that remark from others before this, and not just from Otter Creek. So one of the remarks I heard was about being legitimate. He likes to sue people. That I heard from somebody that posted that over 7 years ago. So uh, Frank says prayers for my wife, for Ray's wife. Thank you. She goes in tomorrow, so she's resting up right now. I treated her to a bought lunch. I went in and got a Maid Right from the Maid Right place today. So uh, she's uh, she's happy with me today. She didn't have to cook any lunches or anything. She's gonna get treated like a queen today. So tomorrow's gonna be kind of tough on her. She's pretty nervous. So I love her. She's the apple of my. By the way, her birthday is February 2nd. Can you imagine? You know what day that is? It's Groundhog's Day. Oh, no, boy, my computer wants to wants to restart. I'm not going to let it. Uh, Swanee said, "Thank you. Thomas is my nephew, and his dad is my brother." My good boy, I'm glad I didn't step on my tongue, Swanee. uh, Thomas, I think, is an inspiration. He, for one thing, he likes the same things I do, and that's he works on them cars, and he's anybody that can take a transmission in and out several times and not junk the car. He's got my vote. It's hard to put something in and then it's no good when you get it in there and you have to take it back out and redo it again. That is the most frustrating thing in the world. And he did it. He took care of it. Now that's the truck he's driving down the road. So you got to pat him on the back. He's got the patience of Job. Bearded Fisherman says, prayers to you and your wife, Ray. Prayers to you and your wife, Peace from the Northeast. Bearded Fisherman. Thank you. Thank you, Bearded Fisherman. Uh, by the way, I did stop in Guapo's channel today, and he looks like he's bushy tailed and going and same old thing. He had said something in his channel today, and it was that he really wasn't meaning about elderly men. Some of the comments that had been transmitted out there. So I thank Guapo for that, and I'm glad that it wasn't meant as everybody that's old. He said he looked at one of my pictures up there and realized why I would take offense at being referred that way. So, Guapo, thank you for looking at my channel and realizing I really am up there. I was hoping I wouldn't look 80, but there you go. Here we go. Let's see. Hugs from Swanee. Okay. By the way, you can tell Thomas, I really do think a lot of him, Swanee. I really think he does the very best he can. And, he's a hard worker. You can't take that away from him. My wife's surgery is tomorrow at, I think it is at 12 something. They're going to prep her at around 11 something, I guess. It's my understanding. So that's Peb's. It's going to be about the next 10 days. She's not going to be able to do hardly anything, and we've been through different things together. And thank the Lord that one of us has always been there for the other one. We honestly take care of each other. We've been lucky. And when it got where I couldn't handle it one time, my daughters came in. Both of them came in. One of them flew clear from Texas up here. So I'm lucky. We do have a family out there. Our kids are in their 60s, by the way. So well, my daughters are in their late 50s. My one son's gone, and one son will be. Well, he just turned 61 in October. So Yeah, I'm getting up there. I have to remember. I have to think a little bit. I have to close my eyes to think about it. Oh, let's see. Oh, Lorraine said, "Thank you, Guapo, for clarification." Yeah, I thank Guapo too. At least he went back and looked. A lot of people don't. Uh, the only reason I knew about some of the stuff was that some people had come on here and said that I had been attacked by Guapo on his channel. I was there when he made that first initial thing about if you don't believe in David, I don't want you on here. And I had not until today. I had not went on his channel, but I had said all along I wouldn't say something negative on any channel that didn't want me to say it. But I'm going to say it on my channel if I don't like something. That just means I won't dirty somebody else's channel. Lorraine's got prayers for my wife. Thank you, Lorraine. Uh, get my apron out. Yeah. I'm not a very good cook. My wife is a good cook, and I can't match it. Uh, so, uh, and she's very touchy about stuff when it comes to the cooking. Ernie says his son comes to help here when we have surgery, especially mine. The wife has a lot of mobility issues. Yep. Now my boy, I mean, he would come in a heartbeat anytime. If I called him up, he would be down either that evening or the next day or something. But I always hate to impose on somebody else. You know, I'm retired, and but when I have to ask one of my kids in, they have to take time off work, and sometimes it's unfair to ask too much of people that are employed. Let's put it that way. Guapo got me blocked harder than Germ does. He didn't like my song about him. That was Momo. Oh, uh, let's see. Robin sent prayers for my wife. Thank you very much. Momo, I like your channel, so you know I'm on there. Oh, says Laura, my mother fired me from being her daughter. She needs servants she can abuse, not a daughter who can be degraded. You know, sometimes mothers and daughters do have a hard time. I'm not sure why, uh, but that happens in families. There's all you can do is hope the Lord can change things. It can happen. Prayers for Mrs. Bonebreak from G. Louise. Thank you. Yeah, Road King says I don't bother chatting. I just watch and listen. And you know, you talk about Grapple's channel. Yeah, Guapo's a lot younger than I am, and he's almost a third of my age. So, uh, matter of fact, he's younger than most of my grandchildren. Uh, just to give you an idea. Uh, Pep said she was never able to get into the chat on Guapos. I'm not sure why, unless there's somebody there that yeah blocked. He's got a lot of mods in there. Uh, the only thing you could do is ask why you couldn't get in the chats. It might be a lot of times he don't know who's been removed. You know, when he's talking, he really doesn't look that much into the super chats of what's going on in there. Uh, looks like we're slowing down quite a bit. Excuse me. It says I was never in a live chat with him. Prayer, strength, and healing for the both of you from Kimberly. Lorraine says, I like Guapo, but refuse to go on demand to give hearts. Yeah, I'm not sure what that's all about. I've seen others do the same thing. Uh, it it is kind of a control issue. I'm not sure why. It's not something I would personally ask somebody to do. Uh, I'm probably more direct. I'd say, look, if that family needs a basket of fruit, will you send a basket of fruit to them or a turkey or something like that? But I wouldn't nail you down by name or anything like that. I would just say, hey, can you help them out? Uh, so, bearded a big family dispute. Tori, by golly, I see you're in there. Prayers, Ray, to you and your wife and strength for health. Yeah. Tori, by the way, even though I don't come on your channel, that you don't see me on your channel a lot, I almost every time I'm in there hitting your thumbs up. Okay. A lot of times it's on my way to when I'm going over to yours and Lisa's channel over there to discuss something. But thank you, Tori. I appreciate you. Oh, I see that. Momo, you got blocked when you asked about the Afghan. I wonder what the heck the deal. I mean, I remember the Afghan, but I don't. Hmm. Been kind of a dispute over that thing for some reason. Uh, Tori Jones, thank you, Ray. Well, you know I appreciate you. I call you the tiger, and that's supposed to be a compliment, Tori. Not it's not negative in any way. If I had some if there's anybody out there I'd like to watch my back for me, Tori, it would be you. You're quick and to the point, and you're always on point. I don't know how you can do so many things at the same time. Quite frankly, I can't. You're much better at it than I am. Marla said she's just back from the phone. You missed it all, Marla. Uh, you don't mind being called a tiger, okay? My cat I've got is striped kind of like a tiger. It, kind of a run of the mill cat, but tougher nails. And she loves to fight with me. Like a little boxer. Cats like to box back and forth like this. And she's ever since she was just a little one, she was kind of that way. When we got her, the first few weeks, she would grab a hold of my little finger, okay, and she would grab it with her paws. And she was less than 2 months old back then, and pull that down. We kept her in a kennel for the first few weeks, so that the dogs wouldn't eat her alive. But she didn't want to go to sleep till she had my little finger down there in her cage. She's she was a sweet little cat back then. Now she's a grown cat, tougher nails. Oh, Darwin said I had to block myself on my channel. Didn't like what I said. Oh, oh boy. Hey, Darwin, I got a question for you. Now, I mean, there's no doubt when your channel's up where your heart lies. Do you get any of that hate mail like what comes on mine? I know I get rid of a lot of it on it, but I just want to know, do you get followed over there? The other day, I went on a channel, and the some of the haters from my channel, I had put another channel up on mine for people to go to, and they followed me over to that channel, and man, they just lined that thing up with hate. It was pretty nasty in there. Does that ever happen to you, Darwin? Sometimes you get it. Okay. Well, they especially didn't like my one-sided conversations on here when I did my interviews. They really hated Dirty Dan. Do you know who Dirty Dan is, Darwin? I had to change his name because he didn't like it when I called him by his last name. He was afraid that name I gave him, they might think that he really does things like that. So, oh, let's see. Pep says, please like this content. It's a beautiful free thing. Yeah, it don't cost anything, everybody. And you're free to subscribe or not, but when you subscribe, it looks better. Let me tell you something. Just give you an idea. And I've told this before. My channel grew substantially in one night because I was in on Larry Foreman's channel. I had recommended him from mine earlier on. And when I went over there, he got me, I think, over 4,000 or 5,000 subscribers. He did that in less than, I think, about 45 minutes, just to give you an idea. Now, Larry Foreman is the DUI guy. Most of you know who that is. Oh, Miyagi. Okay, I see it, and I'll be looking for it. Anyway, since then, I have lost almost the 4,000 people that came on my channel. Now, I picked up several thousand from Jeremy's at the same time. So my channel more than doubled in one night. And a lot of them have left. And of course, all of them on the way out like to say, I don't like this anymore. Goodbye. Or, I'm unsubscribing or all kinds of stuff, thinking that they were going to hurt me. And most of them thought they were going to hurt me financially. That is not the case. And if I was monetized, I would not, absolutely not, remove the hateful things they put on my channel. And the reason is each time one of them puts something hateful on there, at least 10 to 20 of them will line up right below it. If I remove it, then nobody else bothers for a while. It used to be that I got some of them coming in there like at 2 or 3 in the morning, and I'm not sure why. The only thing I can think of is the tavern's closed, and they're on, they're not ready for bed yet, so they're hateful, and they get on my channel and start tearing it apart. But they give you an idea of the people I deal with. Subscribe. Okay. The subscribers is on here. Okay. Well, a lot of them, they'll hit the subscribe just to come in to say something hateful. So, and then they get off. Kevin says that's a gang mentality. It's more than a gang. Those wagons that are surrounding John and Michelle and Harley, like I said, that's not for protection. They're on the attack. They're putting a circle around them to keep us from going in there protecting them. And I hope and pray that nobody gives up on trying to help these people out. A lot of them say nasty things about people. I've seen it all now. And I'm disappointed in the people that do that. It just irks me sometimes. It pisses me off so bad. And it shouldn't. I shouldn't let it get to me like that, but it does. Sometimes the things that come out of people's mouth, I mean, you wouldn't touch it with toilet paper, I guarantee you. And they claim that they're Christian. How can they do that? They just don't. It don't make sense. And this lawsuit thing. If you were to go through in the Bible, there's over 60 some items in there that actually could be construed as to say that's not a way to handle it. It should be handled through the church or through your prayers with the Lord. But, and I've told you a lot of times I don't turn my other cheek, and that's probably one of my biggest problems is that if people, well, most of the time I don't wait for the punch. If somebody gets in my face, it usually is going to be over in seconds. It used to be. Now, at my age, I'm pretty slow, so they can get away before I can take a swing, I think. All they do is they just see the lightning in my eyes, and they figure he can't hurt me, and they walk away, and they're probably right. Oh. Pep said 10,000. I wonder what that is. 10,000. Never heard these words growing up, most of them. In my house, my grandmother's rules, everybody had to follow them. It was her house. And that's where I grew up. She was more like a saint. She never cussed that I'm aware of ever in her life. And she would not allow it in that house. And I seen her go nose to nose with my dad. My grandma and my mother were big. I'm talking about tall people. and muscular. My grandmother was raised on a vegetable farm. She was born there. And believe me, she was nobody to mess with, but she didn't use it like you would in fighting. People knew better. I mean, when I say nose to nose, she would get right there and talk to you if she had to in a very calm voice. No swearing, but you knew that she was serious as a heart attack. Yeah. Matter of fact, if my dad was mad at me, the first thing I did was run where my grandma was. And I learned that, Oh, when the Larry Foreman was asked for subs for Ray, it was over 10,000 that night. Wow. Yeah. Actually, by the end of the night, when I went back, it was at 12,000 something. The subs I had. Yep. He actually has a lot of influence out there. Uh, I, I I guess the biggest surprise was that how enamored he is with Jeremy. I'm not quite sure because people that have been around uh, usually can see through that type of a personality. And if you look and there's somebody out there that most of their friends are fairly new, and you look behind them and nobody came with them, what would be your best estimate? Is that somebody you really want to be associated with? And my video that got taken down, in that video, he had talked about how he felt about his previous people that he dealt with. And he said, I'll never be involved in collabs. And he talked about the people in Otter Creek. And if you noticed a few weeks ago, Brett talked about that on the Vague Nation. And he is the ex-mayor, ex-madam mayor husband. Okay. And some of the things he said on there were eye-opening. Now, people, when you're looking at live chats from these different channels, you're going to see the real deal somewhere along the line. When my channel was taken down, it was part of it. I think he was embarrassed because I acted as if I was interviewing him, and I put his answers up there uh, about his feelings and the names he called his subs was in there. So it shouldn't be any big surprise. But what I'm surprised is nobody that follows him pays one iota attention to what he says about him. It's okay. I wish you could. I really wish that some of you could look at what he really says. He speaks in plain English. Even with that rolled up tongue he's got, you'll understand it. Get it out. You can't get the goodies out before you roll that thing up. And my feelings about carpetbaggers is, I mean, that's real. I I don't think, and it doesn't matter whether it's some Yankee going north or somebody from the south going, I mean, a Yankee going south, or if it's a Southerner going north. A carpetbagger is just that. They come into town and take over. And if you come into a little town like Otter Creek and you flip the console and you go after the county supervisors and judges and the sheriff's department, and you're still walking the streets without a problem, now tell me, would you be scared of somebody that could do that if they came to your town and you lived in a small town? Think about this. That town is only 100 people. Wow. That is unbelievable. Unbelievable. Now, if you want to get close to somebody that swings that kind of a sledgehammer, my opinion is be careful. Be careful. Very careful. Now, you take a small channel, I don't care whether it's mine or Lisa's or Super Dave, Thomas out there. He's got it. Now, Thomas, his channel's growing. And you go up against somebody that has almost 750,000 followers. And when you say one thing out of line, you're going to get anywhere from 10 to 50 hits within a few hours. And they're going to call you vile names. That's no fun. Now, I know a lot of you on here, you've looked at other channels and you've been very careful how you step, and you got to be careful because it has been that people that came on my channel that have said nothing negative on his have been avoided. You know, it happens. If you ever want to know where you've been ghosted, all you have to do is unsubscribe from that channel. Go back in and look for and see if you're on that channel, your comment. If you unsubscribe and go on that channel and you've been ghosted, you won't show up in there under the comments. That's called ghosting. He has done that to people that were paying members because they came on here and told me about it. So hopefully none of you are scared to come on and say something. But I'm just telling you, there's a lot of power over there. Prayers for Harley and her folks. Couldn't. Oops, let me back that up. Somehow I missed it. Sorry. I was going to repeat some of this that was on there. Prayers for Harley and her folks. Here it is. Couldn't live in a town with that slimy germ. Next one, Germ stalked John to Walmart, just like Germ stalked the CPS supervisor to that same Walmart. You know something? I don't know how he got away with that. I really don't. And I did. I seen that when it happened right away. I haven't seen the video on it yet. I'm hoping that they can get the video from Walmart. I doubt if he did that without videotaping it himself. So he's probably got it on his phone. Road King. Let's see. Could you tell he was a little uncomfortable? It's the wild, wild west there, Ray. I agree. It's the wrong what he did to JC and to the DCF director. Hope they get that footage for court. Yes, I hope so too. I saw too, Road King, but Larry signed up anyways. The German and his minions act like a pack of rabid dogs going after their prey. I agree with that. Lorraine. Road King, think his girlfriend was even more wide-eyed about the whole situation and very uncomfortable. I'm not sure what's going on with her. It's hard to tell. She seems to make a lot of comments, and they're hurtful. So I don't know. For a long time, I just don't know. It's hard to give an opinion. Most of the trolls are telling people they're paying way too much for the items they're buying. When people don't know about something, they just make things up. And what the heck, they've got a teacher there showing them how to do it. A lot of people think they can say anything they want, and they get away with a lot on here, believe me. Otter Creek was strong before JH came here, and we will remain strong. Swanee, I tell you that, I've always preferred small towns, and I guess most of it was because you can know everybody out there pretty and figure out who you want to be around or who you don't want to be, and life goes on. And when you get somebody coming into town, a loudmouth, and starts choosing up sides, it tears a little town like that apart a lot of times. And sometimes it's hard to heal it. It'll never heal. I was surprised about one of the residents that I thought was probably one of the strongest residents for the people of Otter Creek, and actually had backed her on this channel. And now I see that she's one of the bigger followers of Jeremy, which surprised the heck out of me. I didn't think anybody, I'm not going to say the name, but I just didn't think that would happen. I really had faith in this one particular person because that person seems to get along with just about everybody in that town, knows him. And then all of a sudden seems to be a follower. And I just don't know why. Like I say, it surprised me. I'm sorry that it happened, but man, That just uh, those gold foil bills that they sell in China by the thousands. They're paying over $50 and sometimes over 100, and they cost pennies. Yeah, I thought that was I thought that was pretty funny when I seen that on there. You know, if you want to define the word grifters, I would like you to think about the good sales job that's going on there over some of that stuff. I mean, what about that cheap 99-cent bucket with a turtle hanging by its neck over the side of it by a string? They went over big too, and they run out of buckets. There are a lot of people who are willing to pay a lot of money out for a little bit of nothing to somehow prove a point that is pointless. You tell me, how much sense does that make? In cents there, it's $1.25 against $25. Oh, man. Uh, well, anyway, what the heck? If you bought some swamp ground, I'm not even going to say anybody, in the middle of Florida, and then you sued the people because they didn't tell you the whole truth about the swamp ground up there in the middle of Florida, and you claimed it was worth 3 times or 4 times what you paid for it, but you're going to sue them because they didn't disclose something. But as is by as is where is the whole works. What would you think? And then threaten them that they were going to threaten the whole family because the one person they're not getting along with. What would you think about that? Your whole family is being put up for bid at that point. Well, I'm going to sue your whole family because of something you did. Does that make sense? Would you do that? The other thing is, what makes you, what the person that says something like that, and they're in the middle of a swamp, and they threaten an entire family. Is that why the sheriff was in town the other day? I'm beginning to wonder. I wonder if that sheriff is going to follow every time that, because my understanding is he had threatened to go up there to the meetings from now on if certain people were going to run, like John or Michelle, if they run for office. And part of that was supposed to be part of the discussion. I thought of the people that applied for the voting. So think about that, folks. Oh, yeah, he needs lawyer fees, but he buys 2 condos. He's getting plenty. Remember, the reason he's running all those whatnots is because he's got to feed his attorney. His attorney must be eating awful good. So far, what was it, 250,000 or better? That's some pretty good bucks. Gives you an idea what kind of money is being made on that channel, doesn't it? Yeah, it is a buyer's responsibility to inspect, research what they are buying. Buyer beware is a saying for a reason. Yep. I need a bucket in my doghouse, no restroom in it. Well, Darwin, I've got a bunch of these. Here's a lid, and I've got a bunch of these little 5-quart containers. You know, next time you buy ice cream, start saving them. Unless you take an awful big dump, they'll work just fine. You got a lid to put on it, and you can toss it in your trash. So that's a cheap way out, by the way. You know what I ought to do? What do you think if I started selling containers like this? I put a piece of tape on there and sell the bucket with it. What do you think? I mean, it's free to me now, but do you think I could get 30, 40, $50 out of it? 30, 40, 50, 50, 50, 55, 55, 60, 60, 60, 65, 65, 75. Yeah, we'll auction them off, okay? How much do you want for one of those, Ray? Well, listen, if I can just sell them outright, if you're willing to pay $100 for one of them little pieces of tinfoil, how about if I give you a break and I'll sell you one for 50 and you get a free lid with it? You buy the bucket for 50, I'll give you a free lid. I just showed you how I could auction off things. There, Stacy says he'll give you 100. All right. I got 100. I got 100. 100 here, 100 there. 50, 50, 55. Oh, 155, 55, 55, 60, 65, 65, 70, 75, 75, 80, 80, 85, 85, 90. Yeah, you got 7,500. Here we go. That was 100. Oh, let's see. Oh, 150. That's good. You know, the other day, uh, I think he tried to unwind his tongue and get out there like an auctioneer. Yeah, he's getting there. 250. Oh, that's 250,000. Oh, you're talking about his was the lawyer cost. I thought you were bidding on that bucket, Bodicia. Oh, by the way, if you yeah, you're right. 250,000 for just two people, and for the amount of people he plans on suing, he hasn't made that money yet. And I don't know if he can gain enough that many millions to pay for all that. And the only thing I can figure is if he wins one, then he'll go to the next one. Now, all of you realize that as each one of these lawsuits is settled in one way or the other, he's already grooming the next one. This will never stop. It's going to be somebody will be on the line from now on. Uh, yeah, yeah. Remember though, in the state of Ohio, I'm allowed 10,000. Uh, one thing, when you're out in Timbuktu, and if you're in a place small enough, you have certain things you can do, and they can't fine you for it, and it's in your best interest to do all you can do to make as much as you can before they make a law against it. That's all. Oh, his tongue has really twisted when he gets unhinged. It does. Oh, I have to start a GoFundMe to pay for it. Yeah, the best way to do it's like he did on that one where now he sends his straight to that lawyer. You remember when he went on there and said, "Listen, just make it straight through the lawyer. You don't have to put it in the GoFund." I'm not sure what YouTube has to say about that, but anyway, he does, and that way nobody knows what was given directly to the lawyer. The only one that knows is the person that gave it and the person that received it. And who knows? The lawyer. That's it. Oh, oh let's see. It says Stacy. Hi, Monica. They sure trying, but JC and MP are not prisoners. They have the right to live their lives free from harassment. They have the right, but they haven't been able to do it. That's the big problem, Stacy, is that John can't even go into Walmart without that guy coming in and yelling and doing all kinds of crazy things. That's not fair to him. It's just not, and it's not fair to anybody. I can't imagine how this PO got to the point where it could take somebody who lives in a town of 100, and you got to stay 500 feet away, which puts you cannot be in the store, can't go to the post office, you can't go down the road. You do you listen? By that PO, you cannot drive down the road in that town. Think about this: 500 feet. That boy, that is a bad one. A real bad one. Dan says, if I need a good laugh, I'll go into his whatnot and listen to his tongue stammer around. Makes me laugh out loud every time. Sad thing is, he made one of his neighbors move his fence and another move his house over, claiming they were on his entitled property. That should have been cleaned up, his claim of not getting all his property. And I seen that video, by the way. You know that on that piece of property where they had to remove part of that front porch, That woman's, I don't know if it was her son or grandson, Jeremy was trying to pick a fight with him that day. If you remember, it was on Jeremy's video. And that woman trying to get to the door fell and got hurt. Uh, so to give you an idea how this is, if you, if you were the neighbor that and you the neighbor you sold the property to comes over there and viciously goes after you and hammers on your door and starts right in threatening, how would you feel about it? You sold the property to him, and you're the bad guy. That's really that takes a lot of balls. It just does. That's wrong, wrong, wrong. It's so easy to come over and say, "Hey, look, you're over your property line, and I want to make sure we get this settled." That's all. It doesn't take much. Uh, I've had a neighbor that had claimed part of my ground, and we got it settled, and I didn't have to yell at him, and he didn't yell at me. We didn't talk to each other anymore, but I got my property back, and I didn't have to threaten him in the lease. So there are ways to handle stuff like that without threatening people. Oh, let's see. Someone has to look to get Walmart's video. I don't believe Walmart will share a video unless it's asked by the police, or else there has to be a court order. Walmart is not good about doing that. It's not in their best interest. They're not going to do it. The Ohio judge is what they accuse Grudge Judge of being. Well, remember, the judge up in Ohio didn't accept everything because it wasn't submitted in a timely manner. And at the time, we're talking about you're talking about a judge out of state, and you're trying to settle it through something like this, and trying to get or submit documents ahead of time, and you don't have representation when it started. Now, the scales of justice were so one-sided, there was no justice that day. And the judge, because of the legalities of what was going on that day, I don't think would have been able to do it any different. Now, that doesn't mean you can't go in there and try to get it opened back up and right the wrongs that happened. And by the way, I heard the whole scenario there, and I can see how you can get nailed with that. And if you remember, he thought he was going to steamroll these, John and Michelle, with these accusations in the courts, and has stated as such. Now, with help, people are getting in the way, and that is aggravating him. But at the same time, he's been able to put, way over 100 videos out. And what kind of money, if you go back and look at the videos, and by the way, you can do that on the stats, tube stats or something like that. I've got it on my thing here. Let me see. I'll tell you exactly what it is. I'll bring it up. I don't see it right now. But you can look up, if you just type in their YouTube stats, you'll get it on there. And you can check somebody's channel out. And you can go back to when he has a certain video up, and you can see how many people came in and watched it, and then compare it to others. And you'll see some of the most major ones that were watched were when he put out a video about Michelle and John. So don't be bullshitted by what people are saying about him losing or whatever it is. He's been able to gain. There's some other things kind of suspicious when you look at the stats too. You just have to kind of judge for yourself. Yeah, there you go. Bodicia says Walmart will not release a video to anyone other than police. So if John filled a report and the police got it, then it can be a FOIA requested from Levy County. And that's if Levy County was able to get a copy of it, either on a thumb drive or something, and not just looked at it and then just made a written report. So, uh, says Marla said back, but babysitting now. Sorry again, Ray. Later. All right, Marla. Uh, what makes a narcissist more mad than anything is to stay silent when they're speaking hatred. Yeah, there is no stopping a narcissist other than legal intervention and only behind bars at that point. They keep coming. It's just part of part of the makeup. Uh, what time is it? Let me see. Oh, a little after two. Oh, what to cut it pretty soon. I'm sure part of you getting pretty damn bored by now. Lindsay says they definitely can't handle the truth. They're not, part of the thing with narcissists, truth has nothing to do with any of their makeup. It, it's a different level of consciousness than average or the normal person. I can't even begin to explain it. I've seen people on YouTube, and I've even looked up through, like when a psychiatrist gives a demonstration of what goes and doesn't go. And by the way, the things that earlier I talked to you about this person that is giving these gifts out, and I put down the things this guy says and the things he did on the different channels. He explained it, and it came back as a narcissist as well. A narcissist tries to gain control by whatever means, and they can get pretty nasty along the way. And I didn't add or delete anything from the things that this guy had done or said, nor make up anything about the different channels that were involved. I just put a description in there, and it come back as narcissistic behavior. So you have to be careful when you're dealing with people like that, because if they lock onto you, they will never quit. They will come back over and over and over. They never forgive an infraction. And it might be nothing more than rolling your eyes. They will remember it. Think about this. Every time George is doing something on there, if you ever notice that he takes every opportunity he can to knock what she's saying or doing. And every once in a while, she'll hesitate a little bit, but not much, not as much as she used to. But how would you like to be in her shoes and have to put up with that kind of stuff? A narcissist will not let somebody get ahead of them in any way if they can. And if they're in control of the situation, they're going to keep on controlling it. A while back, I had put on my channel about the thing that was going to go on there, where Otter Creek was going to have that festival. And Jeremy had volunteered to do whatever was necessary or any help that he wanted to put it on during the meeting on a Tuesday. And nobody actually came up that I seen on the videos that night, but they were gathered around Willis and talking to him, because Willis had pretty much said that he would help organize and knew how to do it because of what he does with his motorcycle events. That Sunday, he went on there and didn't think it was a good idea to be there for that festival, and that he probably wouldn't be involved in it because he didn't trust in the safety of it. And he did make mention of one of the people on there that he was not behind in getting them voted onto the council. And that person was in charge of the safety. And then the only time he finally relented was it was going to be a partnership with Christmas in the Creek. So just to let you know, when people can't get their way, they find different ways to skirt around it and still get credit in some way for helping out without having to. So just to give you an idea how that happens. And that posting is still up. Go back and look at it anytime. He don't like what I say on here, and he definitely his minions hate me. So I mean, they're coming out by the dozens. I guarantee you, when this thing gets put up, they're, they're going to collect on it like flies on shit. You know, I'm just telling you. And I'm not swearing. There's nothing wrong when you're talking about the actual thing of shit. It is what it is. And flies on it, that's a real thing. And when people act like flies on shit, that's what it is. It's a real thing. So don't think I'm swearing. I'm giving you actual words of things that happen. You know, one thing about YouTube that I don't particularly care for is they do not let you say real words. They don't look at the concept. The bot picks the word up and grabs it. Okay. Now, when I'm talking about something, and it may be a bang stick, everybody calls it a pew pew, and I'm looking at it, I'm thinking, how silly has our world got that we have to talk a different language to get a point across? Now, you tell me, is that good? So, if you have a bot that can't tell the difference in the concept that is being put out there, what use is that bot? Not much, is it? Now, AI the, is getting to the point where it can tell by the paragraphs around what one specific word is going to be said. And eventually, you'll be able to talk real English someday. They'll even know the difference between biscuits and cookies through AI if you're English or American. Okay? They'll know the difference. Ed says that would be a futile endeavor that would end up in Jeremy filling more POs and accusing the interventionists of harassment and stalking. Maggie says, I think an intervention is in order. uh, let's see. I forgot to ask Darwin something. I don't know if he's still there or not. He bid $5 on that swamp ground. I just wonder if he still wants that swamp ground since there's infringements on it. Or did he lower his bid now? So Darwin, if you're listening, have you went anywhere with that bid on the swamp ground over there in Otter Creek? Yeah, I know he still got Maryland Raby in the schoolhouse. He won't let go, and that's because he didn't win; he lost. That's a shame. Where I wonder, I wonder if he's got a mannequin of a guy that's as elderly like I am. If he's going to put it up there with Maryland. Oh boy. Thanks, y'all. My extended family of warriors makes me feel better. Jenny said that. Darwin, yes, still. Who done it? Who unit did? I just wondered, Darwin, if you still had your bid in, or if you lowered it a little bit because of the infringements that Jeremy's talking about. You know, he's going to make money. He thinks, I guess, off from a lawsuit against the previous owners. And the whole family, I guess, he's trying to involve now because he's mad at one, so he's going to get them all. That goes way back to the old Hatfield and McCoy stuff, you know, where it was families and not one individual. Oh, you're down to $4? Okay. All right. Oh, heck. Jim probably made a report about the Walmart thing. If so, can JC now request for the video? You can put a FOIA in for it. If he's asked for a report and that ends up in the police, you can get it on a FOIA. That's no problem. Said Martha even told him 2 lives ago that the one order was not a win, and he spun it to try and make it a win. Funny, an exorcist is in order. You're right, Pebs. Hey, speaking of exes, maybe you know Vague Nation is into it with I think Sperm Trooper and Radis. I don't know Radis. I think was on there the other day again, but uh, maybe Masula or whoever it is can get maybe he can talk Masulas into helping us out. Although I doubt it. Darwin says he better clean it up before I get it. Did you notice the house looked like a hoarder house inside? Oh Lord! It says Sally said, "Thank you, Ray. Really enjoy your channel. I need to go take care of business. Prayers for your wife. Thank you very much, Sally. I appreciate that. Uh, it's in the lawyer's hands. That's all I'll say. John, I'll tell you what. We're praying for you. I tell you, John. My hats are off to you. You took a lot over the last few years. Uh, oh man, I'll tell you, you're the man. I got to hand it to you. I don't know how much I could. I don't dare say too much because I'd go to jail if I did. But my hats are off to you, John. You and Michelle both. But when this is all over with, okay, I'm going to tell you some of the places I was, and Michelle will recognize them. Okay. Jenny says, going to get my soup hubby made for me. As John says, ta ta. All right, Jenny. We'll see you. Ta ta. Godicia says, I'm waiting for that cruise after Jerem loses. Listen, I'll tell you what. If he don't lose, let's get on a cruise that he don't know about it and let him chase us around the world a few times. We'll take the money that he would have gotten in a settlement if for some reason he don't lose. And we'll use it for a cruise and say, ta ta, sucker. Oh. Let's see. Jerem was selling T-shirts he claimed were brand new. They're only brand new if those tags are on them. The T-shirts did not have tags. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I don't think he wears too many new things. At least it doesn't look like it. You know, it's a good thing they don't have smell-o-vision. He'd never sell anything. Time to start my morning. Good to catch you live, Ray. My thoughts are with Mrs. Bone Crusher. Thank you, Miyagi. And I want to thank you for your backing and of course, your songs. You do a great job. And also, I want to thank you for gathering the comments by Dave and putting them up so that people can look at them. Everybody out there, I would advise you to go over to Miyagi's channel. You're going to get to see what this giver of gifts have said on the different channels because he's got them lined up on there. And as you go through them, you'll see what strings could or could be attached and what kind of a position it puts a person in. When you have as many people out there, they're trying to do good, and you get somebody right in the middle stirring the pot in the wrong direction. What you get is a guy like this giver that claims to be against Jeremy, and that is his tie back into giving to everybody, but he stirs the pot in the opposite direction and tries to get everybody fighting. My advice out there to everybody is this. Regardless of the gift, don't fight with each other. If you have to stay off from each other's channel, in other words, don't give the negative things that the channel does not want to see. Don't do it. Don't put the negative things on there. Try to keep the strings of goodness between each channel so that the main thing that you're trying to accomplish will get done. And that is, we're here to help, if we can, to help Michelle and John and little Harley out. Now, we didn't do it as a combined group like what's going on there right now, where you've got channels one by one saying the same thing over and over and over. And that is a form of brainwashing. I've said it over and over and over that people that do that are treating other people worse than prisoners are during the brainwashing ordeals when you're a prisoner in a world like in a war. The methods are the same. Okay. Lorraine says, Ray cannot be swayed by money. I hope not, but it seems like everybody somewhere along the line either has a Hercules heel or a monetary. I know there's things out there that said people can be bought, and I'm so close to closing the door on the life, in this life, that there isn't any amount of money that could buy me. I'm just telling you, I don't have enough years to spend it anyway, so it wouldn't do me any good. All I have is my own self-worth. That's all, and I just don't want to give it up. I made my peace with the Lord, and when that day comes, I'm going to make that transition without even worrying about it. And I hope that, quite frankly, I know it's selfish, but I'd rather go before my wife because I don't think I could stand it without my wife. I just don't. The world here would not ever be the same. We spent our whole life together, and I hope that the good Lord sees fit to maybe grab us at the same time. Who knows? It says, hello, Bruce. I didn't know you were in here, Bruce. I must have missed you somewhere along the line. Said, oh no, Bruce, that's terrible. How did this keep happening? What happened? Let me go back up here. All right, Bruce, come on back on. What's up? Hi, Ray. Link to Miyagi's channel. What's I went over to Miyagi's channel. I didn't see anything. Did I miss anything on here? Their big storyline of February 5th is foiled. Okay. Says Bruce, speaking layman terms. Lorraine said that. Let's see. Make sure you're in live chat. Hey, Ray. Funny Sonny said, I miss my husband terribly, but I would not wish the life I have now on him. I don't want to be alone in life, and to not have my wife would be unconscionable. It just wouldn't work very well at all. Oh, says didn't the JC and MP's attorney ask for extra time? Says that they're not getting their PR stunt on February 5th in court. Okay. Kevin says, "Cool, Bruce." That's great, Bruce from Carol. Okay, this has been quite a day getting on here and talking a little bit. Sometimes it's hard to turn down those financial gifts that are out there, and the younger you are, the harder it is. And for me to make a decision for somebody else, it really is not in my place at all. Right? Just because I won't doesn't mean that somebody shouldn't. That's all. It comes down. Self-preservation is the strongest instinct that you have as a person. So that means eating is at the very top of the list. And if you don't have the money to eat on, you're going to do whatever it takes to get that next meal. And, I mean, that's a real thing. And believe it or not, sex is right up there with the top three, if not the second one. It was certainly in the top three. Says Ed says, please subscribe to uh, Miyagi's channel. Yeah, that'd be a great idea. Go ahead for it. Um, you know, one of the things that I've thought over, and I don't know how Bruce, if you're still in here, but somehow we need to figure out. I know you helped get this thing set up so that there's some pro bono bro, broner, pro bono lawyer work going on out there, and which is can be unfair to anybody trying to coordinate it or anything else. But it'd be kind of great if we could get your channel into a position where you can have some of these chats going along with a way to raise money for a fund to help yourself in some of this coordination that happens with pro bono work. Nothing is free in court actions, whether it's getting a depot or anything else. And it's important that that be awarded to everybody that's involved with trying to balance the scales of justice. And if a person is going to go out there and try to do this work all by themselves, it's unfair to that person. And it probably would help if everybody, it's a matter of if Bruce can get set up with something like that, it would help a lot in getting things done that we're all behind, that we would like to see done. It doesn't have to be just for Harley and John and Michelle. It could be for other people where injustices are being done and the scales aren't balanced. For the lawyers that are involved right now in this whole thing, okay, for them to act without any kind of help is extremely tough. I don't know if any one of us could do that same thing. So I guess really I wish there was some way that Bruce's channel or maybe a website can be set up just for those kinds of things out there. So, but we would need to get some advice from Bruce as well. So, Bruce, if it was up to me, I would give you a website right this second and say go for it. But I don't know all the legal issues that are involved in it, nor the hard work in doing it, or the needs. So I guess it's all mainly what we need is information from you to even move forward on anything like that. So you would have to help us out to help you, I guess. That's what I'm saying. And by the way, you are 100% appreciated by myself and the other channels that are out here in this endeavor. And even though we're not linked as one, we all have the same thoughts in mind. And it's the individual strengths coming together that will get it done for us. And you are one of the major strongholds in this whole thing. And from the very beginning, I've realized that it can't happen without legal advice. And there has to be help in there, just like you're helping everybody else. your pocket one of these days is you're going to wear the bottom of it out. It's going to have a hole in it, and you will not be able to stop the change from running out. So, like I say, I think we move. He says one invoice of 580. Everyone wants to cover it. See, now there you go. There's what we've got up there, people. He's got an invoice there that needs to be covered, and I don't have anything here for a GoFund, and I'm not signed up on the partnership. But we need to somehow figure out how to get these things, these fundings done to cover some of these costs, not only for Bruce, but anybody else that gets involved in these things on the pro bono. It is not free. I don't know if you guys understand it. When a lawyer steps up there and once they obligate themselves, it's almost like a chain around their neck. So there's more to it than just saying, hey, I'm going to help you out. Once the court recognizes you, man, you're there. So, trying to balance this so it's fair for everybody, there has to be some way to keep these people from sinking down. This guy that's out there, he's got all kinds of funds, and he has 750,000 people funding this thing, and it's all coming down on 3 lawyers and a few people out here that have channels. And just like Bruce has got that $580 invoice, that could be made up in 15 minutes out there. All we need is that avenue to get it taken care of. If we're truly all trying to help out on this thing, and you can leave any comments you want in here where we can move forward in doing something, and we'll get other channels involved as well. I really think it's almost like we have to have a website of some kind that is a nonprofit but allows payment out for legal advice and the paperwork that goes with it. And we have to have a way of doing it and understanding what this whole thing is. I don't have the tech knowledge of this thing. I've got a giving heart, and we just need to figure this out. So let's put our heads together, figure out how we can help Bruce and the others that are involved in this. And they're, like I say, nothing is free in this world. And these people out there, they brag about what they're doing, and they hold the part up that they've got all this money that they can swing around, and you or I could be the next Michelle and John, and our kids could be the recipient of those lawsuits. So when we look at this, and like with me, I mean, I've stuck my neck out enough that this guy's trying to sue me. But other than that, I want you to think about what Bruce has went through, the names that they call him. And during those depositions, and they used his race and religion or descriptions against him in a depo in front of a judge. And the judge let him get away with it, and it could be construed as a hate crime. A federal judge allowed it, okay? Just to let you know. And they ran with it. And if you go to the channels, they're using these names over and over and over. When I think back of what happened back in the 30s and 40s, late 30s and early 40s, and an entire race was almost wiped out in Germany, and it started out with simple descriptions. And they were used for a reason to get this war going, the war effort in a European country. And in this country right now, we have the same thing going on the streets, especially major cities or around major colleges, over the same people that were involved in some of it that went on in World War II. The difference is it's Eastern nations that are involved in it now. And we can put a stop to it anytime. We can. So I guess, and that's my lecture for this part of it. Please, what I'm saying is they use anything they can at their discretion, including religion and race, and they've turned it into a hate thing. And I'm telling you, some of this started just like that in World War II, and we we need to put a stop. The buck has to stop with people like you and I at the lowest level, which is now out of our local courts and into a federal court. And the lack of funds makes a difference in the United States in the balance of justice. And if you don't believe it, look at some of the literature that was put out early in this thing about the steamroller effect that a millionaire thought he was going to use on two people, John and Michelle. Is there anybody in here that has the millions that are being used against this factor? And do any of you, any of you, could you stand up? It's hard. It is very hard. I told you one time about a story where my boss told me I had to fire a crew and I had to hand paychecks out. And I stood out there with over 100 people, and they were out there. They wanted to kill me. Yeah, I know I'm not supposed to say that, but they wanted to unlive me and hand them their checks because they were all fired. That is hard to do. Not many people can do it. And I guarantee you, I wouldn't want to do it again because my whole heart was a pumping. And out of that bunch, one of them came out towards me, and he took my back and said, "Okay, come on down, you guys. We'll take you on one at a time." And the one with the loudest mouth, I pointed at him and tried to get him to come down off this podium that he was on talking. And he wouldn't come, and that kind of quieted things down. The threats were still coming, but nobody come forward. And the guy that got back to back with me was a bigger guy than me, and I'm not small. So, but there wasn't anybody one-on-one that wanted to take that battle up. What I'm saying here is, if we're really going to battle this whole thing, let's figure out how we can help this lawyer out. So, let's see here. I'm going to go down through here and see what everybody has to say. I know that Tug was saying that Bruce is only interested in fundraising from two leads. Made me so mad because there was never once been a fundraiser. That's true. Funny, Sonny. Here's the problem we have right now. The cost is starting to run up because of the things. A deposition is not free out there to you fellas. And neither is the running back and forth to a court situation. If you have to drive from one state to another to appear before a judge because somebody was acting a fool, that's expensive. It just is. It takes your time away from the things that you're already doing. Remember, all three of these lawyers are employed with cases already, and they have to pay attention to everybody that is and associate with them. And they have offices that are supporting. So this free time puts a strain on them. The people that are talking against all this fundraising and stuff like that, that's fine. They can talk against it. We're in the real world. We all know what it takes. And the real world is based on finances. It just is. So hopefully I don't have to say too much more on it. These other people, they're out in left field. And they're so wrong. So wrong. And when I look at their super chats, and they can raise, that one chat was a little over an hour, $8,000. I mean, Lord help me. Yeah. That's that's a lot of money in a little over an hour, and it's just bang, 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 like that to get something going. Not once has anybody took a super chat and said, "This is for," and said, "Bruce, what are your expenses?" As far as I know, I have not seen one go for that. So, should that happen here in the near future or anytime in the future here, or if somebody wants to give, Bruce has a channel. If you want to get a hold of him, I'll do everything I can to get a hold of him. All we need are people to say, I want to step up, Bruce. How can I help you? So, and hopefully other channels will do something similar to this. Please think about it and do something about it. We have a good friend here, and you may need his help someday. So let's let's take our heart and put it in the right place. I look down at mine. It's still pumping away. It's still there. Good Lord has said, do it. All right. It says, Bruce, don't you think it's odd that Larry Foreman is siding with Germans since he's Jewish? Uh, let me give you an example of, do you know who Bernie Sanders is? Anybody there? Here, let me run this chat up. You know who Bernie Sanders is? You hear him on the air all the time. He is Jewish. And he has said a lot of things that are anti-Semitic. And a lot of it has to do with funding and some of it has to do with the war that's going on over there. Just as there's difference here in any American and the way they believe, it's the same way in any religion or country. You have factions that talk against each other. That happens. So Larry Foreman is not going to stand up to somebody just because of their race. He's not going to do it. If he was approached personally and race was used, he might do something about it. I don't know. I don't know Larry, so I don't know what to say. I do know that there's people out there that have went to the same church I have that don't agree with the things I say and probably wouldn't give me the sweat off there, you know what. So let me see what I can find out from Bruce to get some addresses up maybe. Like I say, you know, I know it doesn't show right now, but one of the fundraisings that was done for Jeremy's lawyer was a pass-through. And in other words, the money didn't even hit his channel. He put the address up for his lawyer, and the money went on through. I said, Ray, monetize your channel, use that income for Bruce. You know, I've been asked to monetize this different times, and the reason I don't is I don't want to have to, I don't like schedules, and the have-tos I left behind when I retired. Monetizing a channel becomes a have-to. You have to do something. What I will do is if Bruce says it's okay, I will gladly, in my next, I'll put a live up in the next few days after my wife feels better. Not a live, but I'll put a thing up here with an address where you can send finances. Okay. If it's okay with you guys, if it's okay with Bruce, yeah. Bruce has a channel, by the way. If money is sent directly to Bruce, it doesn't go through the channel itself. In other words, if he has an address up there and somebody feels like donating to him, it would go direct and doesn't have to go through everything else. Sometimes that's the best way. I want you guys to keep in mind when you give financial gifts, do it with your heart and don't put strings on it. In other words, if you're going to give something, don't ask for somebody to say, okay, every nickel went whatever it did. This is strictly something this guy is helping out with his heart and he's taking money out of his pocket to do it. I just hope that we can do the same thing for him. And he hasn't he needs something hopefully to keep going. I mean, not hopefully he needs it. I hope that people can get together. Yeah, it says just something else to report to the IRS. That's true. And if it's sent right to Bruce, it'll be his thing for the IRS. Uh, when he is helping somebody uh, under this guidelines and picking up the actual costs of what's going on with the court situation, to get some of his mileage back, to get some of the uh, hourly rates, the letter writing, the depositions. Depositions can be important because it gives you an insight to what's going on. Uh, John Cook here says it best. Bruce was a godsend, and he really is. He is there to help, and he has did it out of the goodness of his heart. And I know he's been accused of a lot of things. And how many of you could give like he has and listen to the hateful statements that he's went through? It's hard to believe how much somebody can do for you. You know, now, Bruce, I want you to close your ears on this because I don't want my Christian religion to get to you. But Christ was hung on a cross for our sins. He died for us so we could be forgiven. And when we take the example of what Christ did when he walked this earth and he helped so many people out, and he walked among some of the worst people that were around. It didn't matter whether they were streetwalkers, they were beggars, they were drunks, they were grifters. He welcomed everybody in to listen and tried to give them a message to put them on the right path. Now, we can't all be under one guise as saying, okay, just because I'm religious don't mean you have to go give stuff. There are plenty of people out there that don't have a religion that need help, and I would help them out as well out of the goodness for their heart to be healed in some way. I can only pray that they find their path and their way. That's what I can do. So this time it takes something financially too. This says, I wish I could help financially. It's impossible for Mr. After this month if the Medicaid freeze holds. I'll be hurting. You know something, Pebs, and I understand that. Nobody should give where it's going to pull them down. Absolutely, I don't believe in that. You know, I've seen these dollar bills roll in different times. And the people, a lot of times, that are given like that, if a millionaire was to give $100,000, those $2 mean more to the person that needs it than the 100,000 does to the multi millionaires. And they don't mind showing their gifts out there. They give these great big gifts. And I don't care if you're the yo-yo out there that said, I'm giving half of everything I've got, to the world. Well, half of it, the other half is huge too. The amount of money, the daily income off from that's more than any of us will ever make in a year. But what I'm saying is that the small amounts are harder on a small person, and that person that needs the money should not give it away. There's the people that have extra can give what they feel they should. There should never be a percentage or amount on it. Should never be that way. There was times where I couldn't do it. I got hooked into a thing where I said I was going to give so much per month for a year, and I was out of a job partway through, and these people hounded me to death. And I said, look, I'm going to write you a check right now, but don't you ever, ever call me again. And this is a big organization all across the United States. And I've never given them another nickel. But I'll tell you what, I gave plenty, just not to them. Okay. So give with your heart, but only what you can give. Don't stress yourself out because you don't have a lot. I know my grandmother, when we go to church, sometimes it was pennies. It's, the Lord don't ask you to starve to support a church. Does not do that. Where in the Bible do you see that? Nowhere. Okay. So please think about it in different terms. Yeah, PEBS, just to give you an example, those programs that they're talking about, take it with a grain of salt at this point, and I'll tell you why. You're going to find out there's a bunch of people out there taking worst case condition and not the real reason for it. There are agencies looking at some of the things where there's something taken advantage of by people out there. And it doesn't mean the whole program's going down the tubes. That is not going to happen. It will not happen. The other thing is, the for one thing, anything that has to do with Social Security cannot be, there's nothing a president can do to touch it. And here's the reason. It is 100% under the control of Congress only. And they can stop anything under Medicaid or Social Security tomorrow. Just like that. We would all be out. They would not, one thing, they would not do it because not one of them would exist within a very short period of time. They would be gone. People would not put up with it. You talk about an upheaval. And the same thing goes with some of these programs out there that are being threatened. It is not going to happen. Bear with me. There's a lot of threats going on, and they're maybes. Don't listen to it. And let things settle down, and we'll have this discussion in 90 days. Let's go back over the things that were threatened, and in 90 days, let's just have a friendly conversation over programs that were either cut or dismissed or gotten rid of. Okay, the government threatens all kinds of stuff, and before election, they promise you the world, and when the election's over with, the other side will say they're taking everything away from you. It's gone. If you'd have voted us in, it wouldn't have happened. Don't believe it. Only believe what happens. So this, Medicaid itself, it has to be. You cannot have people without help that need it. It can't happen in this country. If it was up to me, every single person in this country would have a viable insurance. I can tell you it's one of the things I fought hard for way before now. And I am still that way about insurance. People have to have it to live. You cannot live without it. There was a time, if the family doctor, if he decided to walk away from you, you probably were not going to make it past your 50s. That was real life back in the 20s and 30s. Our family had a doctor that really cared. And for just a couple bucks, he came to our door and administered to my grandmother. She was a diabetic. And there were many times where it was an emergency. We had to have him there in the middle of the night. And he came every single time and never asked for the money before he left. And we never refused to pay him. He got paid every single time that he came. Usually it was afterwards, after a bill came, or my grandmother, when she felt better, would go up to the office and pay it. I believe we have to pay for the services that we're given, but we can only pay what's affordable to us. And it needs to be made affordable. Insurance is one of those items that our country needs, and we should all fight for that right. I believe that. I don't believe a completely socialist country works, but there are certain things that should be guaranteed to everybody here. We have that kind of money. Okay. There are, Peps, I agree with you on a lot of those programs. Uh, but there's people out there getting advantage of the programs that didn't need it. As far as free lunches for every kid that's in school, if, and here, this is a big if each district says, okay, it's going to be here, then it needs to be a direct tax to that area that the school is in, along with your school tax. And the reason being, if you send it through the federal government, it costs money on the way up. You have middlemen in there that work for the government. And then it has to come back down there. More men are going to handle it on the way back to get to your school. You want it direct within your area. Areas that don't have the money for it, then it needs to come out of a federal fund. Guarantees need to come from the district that you're in. Every time you pay a federal tax to pick it up, to pay for it, because nothing's free out there. Every time we do that, it's money lost. We need to pay it direct in our local tax at the lowest level that we can to keep it as cheap as we can. When I went to school, and a lot of us brown bagged it, by the way. I did until I was in high school. And we had a program within our school, and there was people that couldn't pay for their lunches, and they were given meal tickets ahead of time. They didn't have to walk up to the cashier and say, I need a meal ticket. It was already either sent to their parents, but it was not an embarrassing situation. It wasn't a different color. It wasn't any of that. It was just a meal ticket that they punch off on it as you walk through. So I know it can be done on a local level much cheaper than when it goes through a federal level. You get better food, and you get a better quantity. The whole thing is a better program. All you got to do is have somebody say, each school is going to take care of it in their district. So we need to, I agree, we need to fund it, but we need to do it the right way. And Medicaid should be a right, and I'm understanding nobody should go without health care, period. There's not any argument whatsoever. People need to be able to see a doctor, and they need to be able to get medications they can afford. I'm going to give you an example. I'm not the poorest guy in the world, but it was only a few years ago I had to go in for injections. And those injections cost way more than I get in Social Security, way more. And Medicare wouldn't cover it. I went into a special program, and they paid a part of it, but it was still more than what I make on Social Security. It is a slow way to bleed a person of their funding. Now, what if I depended 100% on Medicare? I wouldn't have even got them. As it was, my health ended up so bad within a few months, I ended up in the hospital, and I had to have some operations. When I come out, the problems that had been wrong with me prior to that had pretty much disappeared. And I no longer had to have the injections, even though they didn't have anything to do with the operation I had. People go through different things. I'm just telling you, if it had went very much longer, I wouldn't be here. Somehow things turned around, and I didn't need the injections anymore. But without them, I wasn't going to make it very long. And I had to go in there. It started out that I was on the minimal program, and it wasn't doing anything for me. And as a last ditch, they more than doubled what they were injecting into me, and more often. And it finally took hold. That's why I'm here today. If I had a better insurance, it would have never been a problem. Veterans in our country that ended up with a cancer from Agent Orange, some of them could get help with it. It destroys your liver, or I think it's your liver. Besides the cancer, there's a liver problem. And there was only so many that could get that help because the cost of it, the government would not fund enough for the different veterans hospitals to cover the people that needed it, the veterans that gave their self back in the Vietnam era that were in the Agent Orange. It was a big thing. There's a lot of things in our country that isn't fair. So, okay, it says Bruce has got a message up above. Okay, let me see where it's at. Uh, yeah, I'm looking. I'm trying to find it. For some reason, I don't know if it's way back. Uh, Bruce, it might be something that you might have to email me on. Uh, I'm not too far. I don't know where it is from here, Pebs. I'm looking. It says Ray. Bruce has a message up above. And I'm trying to find it. Bruce's comments of good news. Oh, let's see. Oh, I just run across John says, never give what you don't have, especially don't disconnect your cable. I'm with you, Bruce. uh, I can say that someone has stepped up on this invoice. Thank the Lord. Oh man, that I've got goosebumps on my arms right now. Bruce, wow, wow. I don't know who did it. Oh my goodness, I've got goosebumps, bumps everywhere. Listen, let's let's figure out a way to help and get these things so that it works out great. Bruce, I'm so glad to hear somebody stepped up. Thank this person. I thank you so much, and thank you, Lord, for opening their eyes up. I thank you. Oh Lord. Oh man, I could almost cry. You know, people fight over money, and it's not worth it. People, I know you have to have money. You have to have money to eat, and you have to have money to for a roof over your head, and my wife and I, in the early days, very early days, we lived in our car for a couple of days. It only happened for a couple of days, but I've never forgotten. And poor people need help; they just do. And if it's ever in your heart, you know, it's hard to talk about it, but when I was a kid, people gathered together to help. I mean, the first thing when they come in the door was a basket of food. I, I can't tell you how much it means. You know, my mother or my dad's mother, no matter what, and she would come in with food of some kind. And you're talking about a woman that used to go out in the forest and pick different greens and stuff. And I remember in the schoolyard picking dandelion greens. This is before people put poison on all their greenery and stuff. And she picked way more than she could use, and it was always distributed among the family. And my my whole family was that way. Uh, and I guess it's hard to accept when people attack somebody because they don't have too much or because they don't agree with the way they're living. You know, you're talking when I just can't say enough. I don't know who gave, but I'm so thankful. I've been trying to figure out how we can get something going for Bruce when I found out what he's going through, and I mean, he's been personally attacked over and over and taken advantage of, and he didn't deserve it. And for somebody to come up and step up and help him, we just need to be able to do this to a point where he knows that we appreciate him. And it's you know I'm happy. Boy. Oh, yeah, PayPal is not going to happen, it says. Uh, I think the only way is a direct pass through. And there has, that we all know that, well, we just know nothing is free in this world. And the scales of justice, they're governed by, unfortunately, they're governed by money. You can't put it any other way. And everybody out there that's ever been in a court situation, they know that too. It, and if you watched this scenario of what's going on in Otter Creek, it is so way over the top. How could anybody with any compassion do the things that are being done today? The names, the accusations, the untrustworthiness of people out there that can't understand what giving with the heart is. There we go. Bruce is going to put up, we're going to figure out how we can put up what is owed and then can continue tribute until it's paid, like a specific invoice for a deposition. I think that is the right thing to do. In that way, everybody knows what's going on. And we can give in a way that's going to help and understand why we're doing it. And I think it'll work. You had to forgive me for being so happy about it, but it's been stressful and an uphill battle working on some of this stuff when I knew there's so many people involved in this, and you're all under attack. Uh, the first live I put up, and some of the people went after the mods on here. We know what kind of people were doing it, and I didn't want to put videos up because I didn't want to put people that are trying to help me out under the gun. It's not fair to them. The mods are trying to level the scale as well and keep people off the backs of the people that are creating. And it doesn't matter whether they're on my channel or Super Dave or Guapo or Two Lees or Robbie's channel in the Get Swamped. Robbie's channel, he hasn't hardly done anything that was negative, and they're going after him and they call him names and do things that are just awful, awful lies. And he doesn't deserve it. He's got a big heart. I don't understand it. And I don't understand why people with the biggest hearts are taking the biggest beatings. It's not fair. The Oh, all right. I haven't been on looking at here for a while, but I better. Raining Watermelon says, "You mean Germ is getting so many involved? He gets a lot of people involved. That's for sure. The the different reasons for people getting involved are they either believe in Germ's cause or they believe in the cause that is trying to help a couple out. They're doing nothing more than trying to have a life, and they have a little daughter. They love her dearly. She's been scrutinized. I don't know what the effect of all this is going to be on this little girl because she's having to live it daily. And if you think a 5-year old doesn't know what's going on, you'd be wrong because there isn't anybody in here, I don't think, that can't remember things that happened when they were 5 years old. Whether it's the first day of school, kindergarten, babysitter, relative, you go back and you remember those things. And this poor little girl, what is she going to think of that when she's in her teens? Or what is she going to think about it when somebody looks back at what was going on now and they start teasing her about it? And these people that are doing this stuff are immoral in the ways that they're attacking and trying to make it public. I think it's wrong. I just do. I am thankful that there are so many good people in this world, and I am thankful there's so many good people who have come on here to listen a little bit. The idea is if you can spread it a little bit so that other people get involved as well. Um, we don't all have to be angels. We're certainly not going to be on earth that way. Uh, oh, okay. Let's see. It's probably getting well. It's almost 3:30. This that's 3 hours on here. Uh, we'll we'll revisit some of this stuff. I don't think I'm going to be doing too much for a while because uh, my wife is not going to be able to do a lot of things over the next week for sure, and more likely for about a month. But as she heals and gets around and starts doing more things, then I'll be able to do more things on here. Meanwhile, I hope that you guys will be out there following Tori, and I don't know what some of the other channels are going to have up and going. Tori, there's Tori, and Lisa. It says you're on the phone, okay? uh, uh, I'm not getting off from here because I'm scared of anybody out there coming after me or anything like that. That's not the case, and I know the rumor mill will be full out there because I'm not able to put up something on a daily basis or with any certainty. It's just my wife means more to me than anything in this world, so she needs my help for a few days, and I owe her that. You can't believe how much she babied me in my last operation. It, it's unreal, just unreal. I can tell you. Uh, Peb says, Ed, you could hold down the fort. I'm going to be sick. Oh shoot, Pebs, I hope you're okay. Uh, I don't want you getting sick. I don't. It says, bye, Ray. Love you all. Thanks all. Thank you, Peps, for coming on here and helping out. I appreciate it. Uh, in case anybody don't know, we were able to get rid of one invoice today, and hopefully we can set up some way to make it so we can contribute to some of the expenses that are coming up that may get overbearing. We know that nothing is free out there in this world. I'll see how many channels I can get to assist in getting that cause going, and keep everybody in your prayers. Boy, I pray for you, Pebs. I don't know what happened, but I hope you're okay. We got quite a few people praying for you on here right now. So, G. Louise says she loves you. she's got her hearts out there for you, Pebs. So, uh, boy, everybody in here are sending their prayers to you. They say, I hope whatever's wrong, you're healed or you come around feeling better. Well, it looks like Pebs, you're popular on here. Oh my! Tim says, stay safe and get well soon, Pebs. So everybody in here is praying for you, Lori and Georgia, G. Louise, Sally's praying for you, Lorraine, Demon Cat, Black Knight, Monica. So we're all for you, Pebs. I hope everything gets better. Ed says, sorry, just stepped away to do something. Oh, Tiny Tim, the problem with the VA is on the director decides what money is spent on. Yeah. Well, I was one of the lucky ones. I didn't end up in Vietnam. I ended up in Europe. But a lot of my friends ended up in Vietnam, and some of them come back. They were hurt. There's some that didn't come back. Period. But one of them come back. He'd got some kind of something with his leg. He had got into those what do they call them, punji stakes or whatever they are, and an infection set in, and most of the muscles were destroyed in his calf region. And I mean, he was in his mid 20s, I guess, but he didn't have a whole lot to stand on when he came back from that. And the people that were in Vietnam didn't have a whole lot of help. It wasn't like they opened up the doors for jobs. A matter of fact, the first couple of jobs I applied for, they said I was too aggressive on my psych test. So, you know, I did go back to school, and it's a good thing I did. I don't know if I could have got a job other than I ended up in construction anyway. But the doors were not open. Let's put it that way. And the courses I took, the I was the only guy that had been in the service in the course that I was taking for. It was design drafting, but you had to take courses for associate in engineering, and so I ended up with calculus and geometry. And I mean, I had to go through beginning algebra and mechanical design, aeronautical design. It was the course I took was brutal, and it was under the Manpower Development Training Act. And luckily, I got on the other side, and I never looked back. It was a course that got me going, and it got me involved with other courses later on in my life. So I was one of the lucky ones. Today it's a little different. A lot of your people that have been in combat, if they're able to, when they come back, they can get some things. I could have got back into college and got part of my costs back, but the courses I took were out of university, by the way, and it was one of the professors that actually worked on one of the first rockets that ever went to the moon. So, I think it's probably time to call tonight or afternoon rather. It's 3:30. I feel like I've been drugged through the ringer. It ended up at a good mode. I'm glad that Bruce was taken care of on this item, and I look forward to hopefully helping him in the future aspects of the financial deficits that are going on. Bruce on here says thank you. And Bruce, I'm glad you're in our corner. You mean a lot to all of us. Uh, and whoever helped out today, I can't tell you how grateful I am. It has bothered me to that we ask so much from people, and there's so few people that that are involved in it directly that need our assistance in some way, and some of them don't ask. And Bruce has set back a long time, and it just wasn't fair. So I am so happy that people can recognize it. I hope the other channels pick up and do something to make this a little softer landing for the people that are out there working so hard. And I want you to remember that there are at this point of time, there's 3 lawyers involved in trying to get things done. And this PO that's out there against John and Michelle, any of you that understand the full concept of this thing, and it's being used as a weapon, if you can understand how hard it would be to live in a town of 100 people and you have to stay 500 feet away from these others. And a simple thing like John being in Walmart the other day, and this guy is up there yelling and screaming at him, 500 feet, 500 feet, 500 feet, with people all around listening to this thing. How embarrassing it can be. Uh, John has the patience of Job, and he deserves a pat on the back. He handled this and was able to get out of there. I don't know how he does it. Having to look over your shoulder all the time and worry because you might be within 500 feet of somebody like that, it has got to be mind-boggling. Mind-boggling. Not fair. Yeah. Pull them up. That's right. That's why it was done. Anybody that doesn't know what it means, Bruce can tell you. Pull them up. Lord help us. How did it ever get down to this kind of stuff? Who would have thought that social media could tear people apart like this? How could it happen? Man. You get behind a keyboard and you think you're hidden. And so that unleashes the worst part of a person. We know what real people are when they come on here and they start spewing stuff like this. We know what the inside of there is in here. We know what they are. They reveal themselves. I mean, think about that. This social media gives us an insight to what people really are, what they're like. When best friends can become your worst enemy overnight over a couple words. Protection of litigation and multiplication of proceedings. Bruce, that's the word. Everybody know what that means? Pull them up. Protraction of litigation and multiplication of proceedings. Okay? So for any of you that don't know what it means, there we go. Hashtag pull them up. There it is. So, Bruce, you did good on there today, and I'm so glad you dropped by. John Cook, I'm glad that you come in for a little listen too. I don't know if you're still on there or not, but I hope you know that you gained a lot of friends, over the different people that have got on here. They understand you're just a normal person like all the rest of us. We don't have to be perfect to be in this world. And the good Lord would like us to follow the path. And when we do, we feel better about it. And today, I can see the works of the Lord came in here and helped out on something we're just talking about a little bit. And we got one little thing out of the way. And it's as minor as it is, it means something. It means a lot. It means somebody out there had a heart to take care of a problem that's been hanging out there. John says, I'm here. Thank you, Ray, and thank you to everybody. John, you really, it's thank you. You've given us a cause, and some of us need a cause to wake up. Uh, if we didn't find somebody to help, we could very well be on the other side of the line. And I don't ever want to be on the line of attack with anybody out there. And I know it sounds like I'm attacking some of the people out there, and what I'm doing is reacting sometimes to either name calling or inappropriate thoughts or inappropriate actions. And to do what's being done out there is inappropriate, and a family should not have to go through it, and it should have been stopped a long time ago. And nothing but a dispute that could have been handled in a few minutes and walk away. So that's how I see it. There's a guy out there called Blind Views, and he's always ending it with it. And that's the way I see it. Blind Views is his channel. And he gets pretty aggressive sometimes. I get a kick out of him. Uh, I'm not in there all the time. But what it is, I go around and look at things, and every once in a while something will get my attention. It doesn't mean I'm a fan. It just means I stopped for a little bit and listened to it. uh, and here it is. It says, thank you, Bruce, for all you do. And it says, Palabop. That was Stacy. And stay strong, John. It was from Stacy also. So I'm going to end it, and I hope everybody out there had a good time today, and we'll have another one. We'll have another one. And thank you, Lord, for coming into and listening today and helping Bruce out. And thank you to that person that stepped up to the plate and took care of this invoice. You're a good person, and it went to a good cause. Thank you so much. Thank you, Lord.